Hello guys, welcome to my channel again, Tech with Kazim. So today we're going to look at a module in Wazuh, which is a file integrity monitoring FIM. So FIM allows you to monitor critical files or confidential files for you to be able to detect unauthorized changes or modification to those files, right? And this helps you to know when a file has been changed, unauthorized, when there are unauthorized changes, right? For you to be able to preserve the integrity of a file, you want to continuously monitor that file. So Wazuh is an XDR, extended detection and response. It's also capable of SIEM, security information and event management system. So I'll be using the FIM module of Wazuh to see how you can install Wazuh and how you can configure it to do file integrity monitoring for you, which is an important task that you do in cybersecurity. You want to be able to monitor a file and be able to alert when there is an unauthorized changes to that file. So it could be malware getting into a system and making unauthorized changes to system or registry files, or it could be an individual gaining unauthorized access to a server or a system and making unauthorized changes, right, for malicious reasons or for some other reasons. So you want to be able to be alerted. You want your team to be alerted when there's an unauthorized changes to a file or to a directory. So you can monitor a file or a group of files, or you monitor a directory. So you can do that. So we'll see how to use Wazuh for that. But first, let's see the Wazuh documentation page and see some of the capabilities of Wazuh. So yeah, if you open the browser and you just go to wazuh.com, right, and so you'll be able to Wazuh is open source. That's another thing. So it's free to use, right? And it unifies both XDR and SIEM. So you can use it for extended detection and response to monitor endpoint, do endpoint detection, email detection, and some other things, and even monitor systems, right? And you can use it as a SIEM, right, as well. So they have good documentation pages. So you can do endpoint security, threat intelligence, security operations, and even cloud security, right? So it's open source, it's free to use. So I'll just head towards install Wazuh here. And first, Wazuh has three main components. It has the indexer, which allow you to do full text search, and it has some analytics engine in it. So it is an indexer that stores alerts that has been generated by Wazuh server, right? So, and you have a Wazuh server, which is the one that analyze data from different agents that you connect to it. So meaning the Wazuh server will be installed in a particular system. In my case, I'll be installing the Wazuh on Ubuntu. I have an Ubuntu in my virtual box that I have installed Wazuh on. Then the third component of Wazuh is the dashboard. So the dashboard is a user interface where you visualize agents. Agents is systems that you want to, or endpoints you want to monitor, that you have to connect to the server. So you have agents that you want to do, let's say agent that contain the critical files you want to monitor. So you connect that agent to the Wazuh server that allows you to now remotely to monitor those files and be able to detect when there's unauthorized changes. And even when it comes to SIEM and XDR, you connect those systems you want to, you connect them to the Wazuh server, right? They will be called the Wazuh agent, right? So the dashboard allows you to visualize agent, to monitor alerts, to see the alert, visualize them, do analysis, and so on and so forth. So yeah, but I'm going to click this quick start button here where you get steps to do a quick start installation. But so these are requirements for agents that you want to connect to the Wazuh server. And but if you scroll down here to install the Wazuh, it requires you to use either a 64-bit Intel or AMD Linux processor. So it runs, according to what I see on the documentation page here, for the server, it works on Linux. So if you're using Amazon Linux 2, or the Amazon Linux 2023, like CentOS 7 and CentOS 8. So you can install Wazuh on it. But if you're using Red Hat Linux, and meaning you'll be able to install this Wazuh on if you're running Ubuntu 16.04, 18.04, 20.04, 22.04, and Ubuntu 24.04. So just make sure that you check the version of Ubuntu you have. So I have it already installed on Ubuntu 24.04. Right. I'm not sure about if you're using Ubuntu 24.10 or other versions of Ubuntu, right, which is not among the specification, you might not be able to install Wazuh on it. So just make sure that the Ubuntu version you have is among the ones specified there. So this is the command provided by Wazuh that allow you to download and run the installation assistant. So what you need to do is to copy this command and head over to your Ubuntu. So I have Ubuntu in my virtual box, right? But I will not be installing Wazuh as I already have it installed on my PC. So I just want to show you the steps. So if you come here, right, so you just paste that command there, or you can do sudo apt update first. So if you do sudo apt update to update your let's see, yeah, so you can run sudo apt update first, then you press enter, right? So when it's done, then you can now paste the command you copy from Wazuh dashboard, this command to install the Wazuh assistant. Then you press enter. So I will not be doing that. So it's going to take a couple of steps. It's going to try and install those 3 components I mentioned. It will start with a Wazuh indexer. You will see the status in the screen in the terminal. It will install the indexer, then it will move to the Wazuh manager, the Wazuh server, and then it's going to install the server. Then when it's done with the server, then it's going to install the dashboard. So once the installation is complete, it's going to give you a default username and password. So please back up the password, store it somewhere. It's very long, so because that's what you use to log in into the dashboard. So I already have Wazuh installed on my PC. So you can always check the status when you're done with the installation. You can always do sudo systemctl, then if I do status Wazuh manager and I hit on enter, right, so you can see I have the Wazuh manager. The status is currently running on my own PC, so I have the manager there. So when you're done, do the status and you should have it running. So now how do you get to the dashboard? So for example, if I do if config, so this is the network interface that I wish to use. I have to here anyway, but I'll be using this interface, my EMPOS 8. So I'll be using this, meaning I'll be able to connect to the Wazuh dashboard on localhost and on port 443. Right, or you use the Ubuntu IP. This is my Ubuntu IP, and I'll use :443. So let me show you how you launch the dashboard. So you open a Firefox browser in your Ubuntu. So once you have the Firefox browser launched, then the next thing is to go to the URL. So you probably want to do https :// then the IP of the Ubuntu, something like this. I'll be typing that right now. So https, typing that. So https :// 192.168, the Ubuntu IP 168.109. Yeah, .133. So this is 192.168.133.246. 192.246 then colon 443. So the Wazuh dashboard is available on port 443. So yeah, so these are the Wazuh dashboard. These are the interface look like. So it's you give it some couple of seconds and it's going to try and log in. Yeah, so these are the dashboard looks like. So you need to log in with the default username and password that will be given to you by our Wazuh, and you type the password there. Yeah, so I have the password in it, but when you type the URL with 443, the first view you might see might saying continue with risk or without, you understand. So just accept the risk and click continue. Then it will bring you here to this dashboard. It will tell you maybe not secure or something, that warning, but accept the risk and continue and come. So once you get here, just try and log in with the username and password. So I'll be logging in with the username and password here, right? So then it's going to log in into the Wazuh dashboard where I can the dashboard where I can visualize things. So yes, so now this is how the Wazuh dashboard looks like. So you see, you can have your agent that you've connected to Wazuh. Yeah, currently I have one disconnected, no active agent. You'll be able to see alerts within the last 24 hours. It will tell you which one are critical, with critical severity, high severity, medium, and low. Or you can also do threat intelligence, endpoint security, use the FIM. And this is the one we'll be using here, the file integrity monitoring. But let me show you other capabilities of Wazuh. So if you go to the menu here, so you can see under endpoint security, you can do configuration assessment, malware detection, or configure it for FIM. You can also do threat intelligence, where you can do threat hunting. You can use the MITRE attack framework, or use a virus total. You can as well do vulnerability detection there. You can also do cloud security. If you expand cloud security, to allow you to do security configurations for Docker, Amazon, AWS, Google Cloud, GitHub, and Office 365. So, but the one we're interested in today is to do the file integrity monitoring under endpoint security. So I'm going to click on file integrity monitoring. But first, before I do anything under file integrity monitoring, I have to ensure. Currently, I don't have any thing in the dashboard for FIM. If I go back to home overview, I have no agent connected to this, so I have to connect an agent. So in the Wazuh documentation page, you can connect Linux agent, or you connect. If you scroll down on the documentation page on Wazuh, scroll down, then you can connect a Linux agent. You scroll down to this point, how you can connect agents to it, so you can start deploying Wazuh agents. So if you use a Linux system, so you click this. If you're trying to use a Kali Linux or another Ubuntu as an agent, or any Linux or OS, then you click here. If you're trying to use a Windows system endpoint and connect to the Wazuh, you're trying to use a Windows agent. Or if you use a Mac PC, or if your endpoint uses Oracle Solaris or AIX or HPUX. So, but I'll be using Kali Linux. But first, I've used both Windows and Linux. I can show you how you. So when you click for Windows, if you're trying to use your base OS, for example, like I have my Ubuntu in VirtualBox, where I have the Wazuh server, and I can decide to monitor critical files in my Windows base OS. So I can come here to download. So you can do the CLI option, or you do the GUI, but you have to first install the installer. Click here to install the installer, then you have to run it, right? You run it, then it's going to open up this view, right? Once you open up this view, then the manager IP will be the Ubuntu IP. You know, it's on the Ubuntu that I have the server, the Wazuh server running. So you have to supply the Ubuntu IP, then you save it. So once you're done, then but at times you might not. Let's say you want to change, or the IP has changed, so you have to always come here. So how do you get here? If you install the Wazuh agent, so you always see the file under. If you go to the local disk, whichever partition you use. For me, I use C drive. If you go to your local disk, then program files 86, you'll see this directory called OSEC agent. So in this OSEC agent, you have all these files. So if you scroll down the OSEC agent, and there's a file which is Win32UI. Once you click it, then you have this dialog, right? This is where you set. So in my case, the IP of Ubuntu has changed. You see, it changed to 133.246, depending on the network I'm currently using. So you set that IP and you save, right? And once you do that, then you have to, if you press Windows R, then you type services.msc. Then once you type services.msc in Windows R, you have to restart. Scroll down to where you see the Wazuh service. If you scroll down to W, I think I just ran past that. So this is the Wazuh, right? Then you have to click on it and you restart the service. Once you restart the service, then you go back to so you restart the service. Let's do that. So once you restart the service, then you go back to the dashboard and refresh, and the agent should connect to it. So I'm going to set the IP to be the IP of my Ubuntu, which is the manager, which is 133.246, right? So I'm going to save this. So once I save it, then I'm going to go to Windows R, then type in services.msc, right? I'm going to hit on, I'll show you that. So I'm going to press Windows R, then I'll type in services.msc, right? Then it's going to open this view. Then you have to scroll down. You'll see Wazuh. So click on Wazuh, then click on restart the Wazuh service. So now Wazuh service is restarted. Then I'll go back to the dashboard on Ubuntu. So I'm in the Wazuh dashboard now. So I'm going to refresh. Once I refresh, I should see the agent active now. So you can see, and I have the agent is active 1. If I click on this active, so I'm going to see the agent, and this is the agent, right? Is a Microsoft Windows 11 Pro, which is the agent I connect to the server. But what I'm going to be doing for today's demonstration of FIM is I'm going to use Kali Linux as an agent. So I'm going to pull up Kali Linux and show you how to, use it as an agent. So I'm going to power on my Kali. So while I'm doing that, if you go back to the documentation page for Wazuh, if you go back to the one I showed you earlier was to use Windows. So if you go to Linux, so you see how you can use the Linux as an agent. So I want to use Kali Linux, which belongs to, so I'm going to be using apt, right? So this is the command I will use to, install the GPG key and then add the repository. Then I'm going to do some updates. Then when I'm done, then I'm going to deploy the agent with this command, right? But I'm going to change this IP to the IP of Ubuntu, which is where the Wazuh server is. And when I'm done with that, then you should be ready to communicate with, then I'm going to start the service with these commands. So first, let's copy this first command. So if you use Debian Kali Linux, I believe you use apt, but if you use other ones like CentOS or Fedora, I believe you're going to use yum. So I'm using Kali Linux, so I'm going to use the apt, right? And I'll copy this first command here. Then I'll head over to Kali Linux. So I have my Kali Linux now up and running. So to make it easy for me to do copy and paste from my Kali Linux, that's if you don't have bidirectional copy and paste set in your browser. So you can, in the Firefox of Kali Linux, you can, search for, go to the wazuh.com so that to make it easy for you to be able to, copy those commands to paste here, right? So you can just do a sudo apt update. So I have so I'll go to install Wazuh. Then I'll scroll to quick starts. We're trying to get the agent for Linux. So I already have Wazuh installed on Ubuntu as a server, right? So I'm not installing it on Kali. I'm rather making Kali an agent for the Ubuntu server, right? Which is why I want to choose this option for the agent. And I'll select the apt because Kali is Debian. Then I'll copy this command here, this first command to install the GPG key. So going back to the terminal, so I have this. All right, so paste the first command there. Right, then I'll hit on enter. Okay, now you might have this permission issue, so I'll advise you open the root terminal of Kali. Open a root terminal and run that command there. Then you should be fine. So I'll be using the root terminal. Right, so I'm going to paste the command here. And you see that it has imported the key. So the next thing there is to copy this second command, which is to add the repository. So I'm going to copy the command here and go to the root terminal and paste that there and hit on enter. So, and that is done. So the next thing, go back there and do a apt get update, right? That's the next thing to do. So go back to the root terminal and run apt get update. So after that, then the next thing to do from the page, if you scroll down here, so the next thing is to now deploy the agent with this command, right? Go back to the root terminal. So, but I'm going to edit the Wazuh manager IP to be the IP of where I installed the Wazuh, which is my Ubuntu. So .133.246, right? Then I'll hit on enter. So I have the agent installed and I can check the status of the agent. So the agent has been installed to connect to my Ubuntu server, which is why I gave the IP in the last command. But if you do sudo var osec /bin in the bin directory of osec, then /wazuh -control. Then if you check the status, so it says not running, so the Wazuh is not running, but we can run it up. Before we do that, so let's run the last command we have in the documentation page, which is to start the service. So first I will do sudo systemctl daemon reload to reload the daemon. Oops, so I think I copied something else. So it is systemctl, yeah, sudo systemctl daemon reload. Then that is done. Then the next thing here is to do systemctl enable Wazuh agent. Sudo systemctl enable Wazuh agent, and that is done. Then the last thing there is to do systems to start the agent now. So I want to start the agent now. I'm trying to start the agent now. Now the agent should be started now. If I check again with this command to check the status, now you can see that the agent is now running, right? So but one other thing is now that, so if I go to, now let's go to the Ubuntu and try and see if we have Kali agent connected to our Ubuntu. So now I'm going to refresh this page. So we should have two that will be active now. If it is now connected to you, we should have two that will be active. So we still have one. So our Kali is not yet, the Kali agent is not yet connected to it. So let's troubleshoot and see what is happening. So we can check the logs. We can check the log by using cat. Let's view the log. Is in var osec /logs/ there's a file called osec.log where you see the log and see what is happening. Now in the log, I can see that unable to add agent from manager. So I see this error. So I see this error saying agent version must be lower or equal to manager version from manager. So guys, now I have my Wazuh up and running in my Ubuntu. So you remember the problem I was having earlier was that the version of Wazuh that I have on the Ubuntu does not match the version I have on the Kali. In actual fact, the one I have on the Kali, it's an updated version than the one on the Ubuntu. So the Kali agent complained, the last error, the Kali agent complained that the agent version has to be equal or at least equal or lower than the version of the Ubuntu. So what I did was to update the version on Ubuntu, right? So I'm running latest version on both on the Ubuntu server and on the Kali agent. So I'm going to just log into the Kali agent now, and I'll show you the logs. Right, currently the agent is currently not active, probably because it's not yet on and it's currently showing disconnected. So I'm going to try and make it active here in the try and make it active. I'm launching the terminal now to do that. So just trying to, increase this. Right, so the first thing I'll do is just to try and, restart the agent. So I can use sudo var osec /bin /wazuh control, then I'll run a restart on it. So I'm going to try to reset it with this command to reset the agent with sudo var sudo /var /osec /bin /wazuh -fim control, then I'll run the restart. Okay, one thing I found out is that I can actually do that on the root terminal, but I think it's okay here. It's okay to do it here. So you see it killed the processes, then it restarted them, and it's currently completed. So let's check the logs. Let's see if you have any other error there. So this is all right. So I'm going to show you the logs now here to see that everything is working fine. So I'm going to view the log, var osec logs, then view the osec.log. Right, so I have the osec.log. I see trying to connect to server. That's what I see here. So the thing is, because since I've changed, I've switched network, and my Ubuntu IP has probably changed. Now, if I show you the Ubuntu IP that I currently have now, so my Ubuntu running an ifconfig here. So this is my Ubuntu IP. At times you might need to change the IP of the server might change, or you change it. So you need to ensure that you have the correct IP in your. Okay, so this is the IP I currently use to access the Wazuh dashboard. So let's confirm on Kali if that is the IP we're connected to. So now to access that, so we're going to open the osec.conf file. So I'm going to open that with a nano. So I'll say sudo nano, then /var /osec using etc folder, etc. Then we have a file called osec.conf. So in this osec.conf, so you can see the IP address set for the server. Look at under the tag osec config where you have client server. Look at the IP address. So I'm going to change this to that of the Ubuntu server, which I'm currently running. So .96. So it's 192.168.133.96. So I'm going to save this, Control O, enter, then Control X to exit. So what I'm going to do now is to restart the agent once again. So I'm going to run this command to restart the agent. Right. So the var osec bin wazuh control restart. All right, now that the agent is restarted, so let's view the logs once again and see if everything is working fine. Yeah, cat var osec logs osec.log. So I can see some error saying trying to connect. Oh, so now we should be connected now. I'm not having any error saying trying to connect. I can see that it's actually in fact being able to read some tags, some system evaluation has been completed according to what I can see here. So let's restart the Wazuh. It's currently disconnected, so we should have an active now if everything goes well. Perfect. Now we can see that we have one active system, right? It's now active. So if I clicked on it to actually see the agent that is active, because in actual fact you can have as many agents connected to the server as you like, so you can check each of them. Now this is the agent that is currently active, which is my Kali. If I show you the IP of the Kali here, right? So you can see the IP of the Kali here. Just scroll up. So it is 192.168.133.8, and that is the IP of the Kali here, 192.168.133.8. So perfect. We successfully connected our Kali agent to the Ubuntu Wazuh server, and it's currently active, as you can see in the status here. So what you're trying to do, what we want to do is file integrity monitoring that we have talked about, which is a security control that continuously checks and alerts you for any unauthorized changes that has been made to your critical files. It could be critical system files, configuration files, content files, or it could also be your confidential files or data you have on the system. So FIM, file integrity monitoring, what it does is that it ensures not only the integrity of these files, it also ensures the authenticity of this file and consistency of files over time. And it does that by comparing the current state of files when they were created or when they were added to this Wazuh. It compared the current state, right, against a known good baseline. So that's what we'll be doing in Wazuh. So if you look at, well, before I go to Wazuh, in case like for me, when I try and open Wazuh every day, I have to retype the password. But you can always get the Wazuh password in case you need to have it saved somewhere that you can always copy and go and log in with. So that's after you're done with the Wazuh installation. So I'm going to give you the command that you can always use to check the Wazuh, right? The Wazuh dashboard, the password, which has been saved in a file for you, so that when you try next time when you come to log in, you just have access to it. So I'm going to pull up the command. All right, so this is a command it will display all the password for your Wazuh manager, both the API password, the dashboard password, the indexer password. But the one you need is the dashboard password to log in. So for security reasons, I won't be running enter on this, so I don't reveal all my passwords. But this is a command you use to tar -O -xvf Wazuh -install -files.tar, then space Wazuh -install -files, then /Wazuh -password.txt. It will display the very top. I think the first one, there will be up to 5 or 6 passwords for each of the components, but the first one or the second one is for the dashboard that you need. So that's that. Another thing is You can also turn off updates, right? So that you don't run into issue. I think it's part of something that can also break the Wazuh install the environment. So you can disable Wazuh updates with this command. So I use this command to disable Wazuh update on my server for now. So I want to manually update it. I don't want any automatic update that might cause any problem with the environment that I currently have. So when you run this command, then you can now do sudo apt update. Then you can then update the system. You can do a sudo apt update. So now let's move on and look at the FIM module for Wazuh. So if you go to the menu here, so when you click on the three horizontal bars at the top here and you come to endpoint security, so you'll see the file integrity monitoring here. So this is where we do the configuration or connection for the FIM that we want to. This is a dashboard where we'll view so here is a dashboard where you can have a view, but currently no result because we don't have anything connected to it here. The inventory here is where you have the agent listed. Then here in the event is where you see the actual event, right? If for example, if there has been any unauthorized change or anything of sort, so you're going to see it under the event tab. So currently now I've not created a file there and I don't have any event to say. It's currently saying no results match my search criteria. So what I'm going to do that now is to so I'm going to come to my Kali here. Now you can see here. So I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it account.txt, but first I would like to use my downloads folder for this because I have some things I have. All right, so I'm going to use this downloads. So I'm going to create a file here. I'm going to say sudo touch. So I'm going to call the file employees account, employees details, or I call it employees record. Or let's call it payment record, payment due, or payment record. This is record.txt. So I'm going to create a file, payment record. So I'm going to edit it with nano just to have some content there. Sudo nano right. So I'm just going to have some so let's say we use some account numbers, just for demo, right? Right, so I'm going to save this, control enter, then control X. So if I display the file, so you see I have this record there, right? So what I'm going to do now is to first you need to know the path to where the file is in a path called home Kali downloads. If you use different location for this file you want to use, let's say use downloads, you have to reference the full URL to that, the absolute URL to the file. So I'll be using this file. So now I'm going to open the osec.conf and do the FIM configuration. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to open the nano file where we change the IP for the Ubuntu server. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down to where I have file integrity monitoring. You can also do a control find, or you can just scroll down there. Here we are. So here we are. So you scroll down to where we have file integrity monitoring. So this is what I'm going to be monitoring that file, the file I created just now. So I'm just going to monitor it so that in case anyone comes to make unauthorized changes to that file, I'll be notified. So you see, it currently has of this disabled. It's currently saying you see this part here, it's saying disabled no, which means it is active. So if you change no to yes, that means it has been disabled, but the FIM is currently enabled by saying disabled no, right? So the frequency is that it checks every 43,200 seconds. So meaning if I run the FIM on these with these seconds, it's going to check the state of that file, whether there has been unauthorized changes, and it's going to do that every every 43,200 seconds. I think that's about, or if you check 12 hours, if you convert it, I think so. So now, but you can change it to maybe 60 seconds or lesser time or 5 minutes, or you can use other fields. So scan on start is yes, so it will run the scan once it's started. Then directories to check. So this is where we need to add the directories to check, right? So now this directory I want to check, so I'll just go to the end of the one I have there. All right, so I want to add, so you can check, you can apply your FIM on a whole directory, maybe on the whole downloads directory, so that it monitors everything in the download or in the document, or you can specify a file. So you give the path for the directory, you need to give the full path to that directory, but for a file you give the full path to that file. But I'll be doing that for a directory, so I'm going to use the XML. This is like XML language, so I'm going to use these tags. Then what I'm going to do is to use a real time equals yes. That means I want the check to be real time, so meaning I don't have to wait every 43,200 seconds, right? So meaning in real time I will get a feed in the Wazuh dashboard. Then another thing is WHO data. So the WHO data will help me to know who made the changes, or what is, I'll be able to know who made the changes and what made the changes. So you give me full details, more details about how the changes has been made. So another thing is to use report. You see, these attributes, you can easily find them in the the Wazuh documentation. So let's head over there so that you can as well read more about it or learn about other attributes you can use with that. So yeah, so I can just do a search for file, integrity monitoring. So right here, and so if you just scroll down through this page here, so you see for real-time monitoring you use the real-time attribute. So it enables continuous monitoring of specified directory, right? And it track changes to those files immediately after they occur. So that's why I'm using the real time. So there are other attributes there that you can also use, but this is the WHO data monitoring I'm talking about. So what it does is that it captures advanced insight into file changes, right? So it is some tools, but what it does is that it allows the FIM to obtain information on when the change occurred, who or what made the change, and what content was changed. So you'll be able to, that's why I'm using the WHO data for that. Then there's another attribute I intend to use, which is report changes. This report changes in files. So I'm going to be using this attribute as well. And what it does is that it records or report the exact content that was changed in a particular file. So if you want to know not only getting an alert that something has been changed, you don't only want to get an alert that so person or someone or a process or a system made this change. You also want to know exactly what was changed, so you're going to use the report changes. So there are other attributes that you can also use, so I'll be using those three. So let's head back to the Kali in the osec.conf. All right, so I'm going to use the report underscore changes. So report changes, I'm going to say yes as well. Then with this now, I can now close the tag, the directories tag. Then in between this directories tag, then I need to have the directory I intend to monitor, which is this directory here, this /home/cat, right, the downloads. But if you use it this way, so I'm going to copy this directory. If you use it this way, that means you'll only be monitoring everything in the downloads directory, which is not what I intend to do. I'm just saying that you can as well do that, but what I intend to monitor is a file in the downloads, which is the file we named payment record.txt. This is the file I intend to monitor, right? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add that to the end of that directory, right? So I have the full directory that way. Then once I'm done with that, then I can now close the directory tag with this. Less than / then directories. Right, so that's it. So you can ignore directories under here. You can choose some directories you want to ignore, but that's not what we're saying today. So we have the full directories we're trying to monitor here, which is these directories, and we gave it a real-time attribute, a WU data attribute, report changes attribute. Then this is the directory we're trying to monitor, the home, Kali, downloads, payment _ record.txt. So once you're done, so I'm going to save these, enter, then I'm going to exit this. So I would like to restart the Kali agent after I've done that as well. So I think we restarted it here. All right, so I'll just type that again. So I'm just going to restart it. Use sudo var offsec. Yeah, so this command right here. So I'm just going to restart it. All right, completed. So now I'll go to the Ubuntu in the Wazuh. All right, so I'm logging back into the Wazuh dashboard on my Ubuntu. So I'm going to refresh this and let's see what we have there. All right, so you can see that under events, we currently don't have anything under events. That means, though Wazuh is now monitoring the file, but because as at the last state that Wazuh is monitoring or the file was created, there has not been any unauthorized change. So, but if you head back to inventory, nothing there, dashboard, even on that dashboard, we have, let's see if it will list that Wazuh is currently monitoring that. Right, so it's currently, we currently don't have anything there. So what I'm going to do now is to go to the Kali, go to that file and make some changes to the file. Then I'll come back to the dashboard and try and, refresh and see if the FIM module of Wazuh is able to, capture that and alert us on that unauthorized changes. So let's make some changes to the file. So I'm going to open the file with nano, right? So I'm going to, tamper with the account numbers that I have here. So I'm going to just change this to 223 or 23. So I'm going to remove the 090 I have here. I'm going to say 45 or replace it with entirely new, account number, right? So at this point, so I've made some changes to both numbers, and I'm going to add a new record. Let's say I added a new record. Let's say it's a SAM, and I add yeah, so I added a new record. So I'm going to save this now, Control O, enter, then exit, right? So I've made changes to that file. So watch now, I'll come to the Ubuntu, and I'm going to refresh that. So now you can see that, and I have something under the dashboard. So I have one alert, and you can see it here, modified. Look at the alert action. It said something has been modified, right? So if I also the agent, the top agent, though I only have Kali agent connected to it, that this alert is for, and the event summary, the timestamp it happened, so I have it there. And if I hover on this, I'll put the cursor on this, so I have this view. Interesting. So let's go to the event to see what actually happened. Yeah, perfect. Now under the event, you can see we have something here. You have an alert here that's give us this timestamp May 11 and the day and the time, right? And this is a visual of the number of alert, the count of number of alert that happened, which is 1 in this case, just 1 alert. Then the agent name that the alert was generated for was for Kali. And look at the sys part. Oh, interesting. The full part of the file, meaning, oh, someone has tampered this file. And you see the syscheck event information is saying something has been modified. Then the rule description was an integrity check done on that. Then if I scroll to the right, I have the rule level, which is 7, and the rule ID, right? And it was given a rule ID. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click this icon here that looks like a box with a microscopic lens or something. So I'm going to inspect the document element. So I'm going to click on it. So as I click on it, you see I have some records here, the document details, and I have the first one here say, so but first you also have it in JSON in case you need to feed this to other endpoints or so you can, or you want to work with it, you want to customize a view, a dashboard, and you want to fetch the records, so you have it in JSON here. But let me make sense of the alert for you. I'll just come to the table here, and you see we have the agent ID, which is for my Kali, and this ID, and the agent IP is this, and the agent name is Kali, of course. Then the decoder name was a syscheck integrity change, and this is the full log I have here. But let me show you how you can make sense of this. So if you scroll down, so you see the rule description says integrity checksum changed, right? And if you look at various policy that I feel like GDPR, and so the rule for GDPR and HIPAA and MITRE, very interesting. According to it, is also a reference in MITRE tactic that there is an impact, right? And MITRE, the technique for MITRE was that a data manipulation occurs. So you can also go to MITRE attack and learn about attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures, right? So let's scroll down this page. Right. So when you come to the syscheck div, this is interesting. So you'll see some records above before this 3 dash line. There's a 3 dash line there. So this 3 dash line separates the records that was there before the change, and the one at the bottom was what was changed. So when we created the file, this is just what we have there. So the records at the top here, they are what was there before, and the records at the bottom was what was changed, right? What the new changes made. So instantly I know that I only have 2 people in the payment record, but now I'm seeing a 3rd person, and I'm also seeing that the numbers for each of the records has changed. And you can also look at each one of them. So under the syscheck div, you're going to look at that and know what has changed. And look at the information for the syscheck event. Is saying it has been modified, right? So so this is how you do file integrity monitoring with Wazuh. So like I've said earlier, you can also do monitor an entire directory instead of a single file. So so look at, it says syscheck event is modified. The name after was root, right? That made a change, is a root user that made a change, right? Then the hash of the file before the change was this, and now the hash has changed. So this part of what the FIM module of Wazuh uses to be able to determine there's been a change. And it tells you that the mode of the syscheck was real time, which is set in the conf. Then the time after, it was the time before. Last time I think when it was created was 10:55. When the change happened was around this time. Then the path was this directory. Then the permission after. So in case there has been a change in permission to that file as well, but this is a permission after that way. So let's see what other records we have here. Yeah, then the size before was 50 kilobytes. Then the size after the change was, that means something has been added, right? Which was the details we saw above. So 75 kilobytes after that. Then so time for the when the alert was generated, 10:08. So this is how you're going to. So you can either view it in single document, have it in JSON, or send it to other endpoint or other SIEM to or you want to use it in another view that you need the records in program to fed the JSON record. So guys, this is how you do file integrity monitoring with Wazuh. You can check the documentation page for FIM on how to use other attributes or some other settings for it. So thank you for following this tutorial to the end. Thank you. Please like us and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.